Hey guys, Randy Potato here with another Darkest Dungeon 2 guide. Today we'll cover the new Shambler reward trinkets from the latest Trinket Overhaul update, starting with Eyes of the Void. Eyes of the Void is a trinket that only activates if your stress is at exactly 5. Once you're at 5, then your next hit will apply 5 of each dot, burn, blight, and bleed on the enemy, at which point you will then gain 2 stress, and the trinket again deactivates. The effect is obviously quite powerful, applying a total of 45 damage across 3 turns, which scales up to 75 over 5 on a crit. With an upgraded bolster from the Man-at-Arms, or an unupgraded inspiring tune from the Jester, you can immediately force the hero's stress back down to 5 and reactivate the trinket. The main problem with this trinket is, despite your best tactics, it is still highly unreliable, first getting your character to 5 stress, and then dodging enemy stress application and relationship stress act-outs to stay at 5. You also really don't want to be sitting at 5, then 7 stress long term, making this a dead trinket in almost all normal combats, and a dangerous potential liability in boss battles. This is especially notable against the Act 2 boss, who applies a generous amount of stress. With the wide variety of strong class-specific trinkets in this update, you'd likely want to consistently get 2 successful applications of the effect in a longer boss combat for this to be worth equipping. Reward is quite high though, and worth retaining and potentially putting on one of your less critical heroes if you find yourself trinket scarce in the late game. Overall, a niche trinket with high upside and low to medium downside. Next, we have From Beyond. This is another stress activated trinket, giving you an additional 30% death blow resistance when your stress is at 7 or higher, while reducing your death blow resistance by 30% if you're at 3 or below. This is an abysmally and ineffective and quite frankly offensive trinket that has no place as a reward trinket and absolutely no hope of ever being equipped by a sane player. Let's start with the supposed upside, a conditional 30% additional death blow res. With the way the base death blow along with relationship stat boosts and 90% death blow res cap, you are very rarely getting more than say 10% of this resistance actually being applied, which makes it strictly worse than available common and uncommon trinkets. The only time you will enable the full power of this trinket is with either the Bumper Crop trophy, which reduces your death blow res, or if you have max negative relationships. In both scenarios, equipping a trinket that isn't highly conditional with a steep downside is the far superior option. Let's talk about that downside. If you're at 3 or lower stress, your death blow res drops substantially. Firstly, in optimal play you want to be at this stress level, making you permanently susceptible to death in standard combats. Against a boss, meltdowns are not uncommon. A meltdown moves you from 10 stress to 2, while erasing most of your health, which combined with this trinket makes you quite a soft target. So if you want to get full use of From Beyond, you need to micromanage your stress to stay above 7, but never to 10. Overall, a useless trinket with little to no upside, and an extremely dangerous downside. Now comes Hierarchy of Sights. Like the other Shambler trinkets, this too is activated on stress thresholds, but this time with no downsides. This trinket provides scaling damage based off stress thresholds, starting at 5. As with other stress threshold trinkets, this provides essentially no benefits in your average combat, only becoming usable mostly in the Act boss battle. The damage boost at 5 stress is a measly 15%, around the same level of some common and uncommon trinkets, and weaker than some no downside trinkets in this new patch. The scaling once you reach 7 and 9 is quite formidable though, up to 100% damage in one trinket. And without the danger From Beyond presents, you can be somewhat fearless taunting with your top damage dealer and accumulating stress. In conclusion, the powerful upside with no downside makes this a strong Act boss choice, but can be outshone by other rare trinkets which have less niche and grueling conditions. Finally, we have my new personal favorite Shambler reward, Unblinking Entropy. This is a no downside trinket that awards you a random positive token anytime you receive stress damage. Unlike other Shambler trinkets, there are no obscure conditions to be met and no downsides to be had, making this a strong choice at any stage of the run, but specifically shining against the Act 2 boss. While stress is fairly universally applied throughout the game, this trinket really shines on a tauntable tank, allowing your hero to accumulate multiple positive tokens per turn. This strongly buffs your generally mixed-use positive relationships, amorous and inseparable, which often apply stress on you when your partner receives damage. It also buffs already strong items like Adrenaline Tonic, which apply stress along with healing. Most bosses provide some level of AoE stress and/or high crit chance, giving you a strong boost in the hardest fights in the game. And specifically against the Act 2 boss, the hardest content in the game as of this review, you will be guaranteed a number of positive tokens per round, as all the Seething Psi attacks apply stress, the Psi attacks multiple times per round, and his round-end AoE always applies at least one AoE stress, assuming you have not cleared all the lung tokens. A no-downside trinket that is useful in every combat and scales tremendously against the toughest current battles in the game makes Unblinking Entropy not just the strongest Shambler reward trinket, but also among the most powerful trinkets in the entire game. Thank you for watching this guide. I hope you found it useful. Follow and subscribe for more Darkest Dungeon 2 content. I upload every Wednesday and Friday, and catch me live on Twitch most weekday mornings. Thank you and goodbye.